You need to get fed up and say and declare, I ain't going to take anymore. But then what do? I'm glad that Jesus gave us the Holy Ghost. When he said, go and sin no more, if I said that wouldn't mean a whole lot. But when Jesus said, okay, now go and sin no more, because he has given us the wholeness. Take up your bed and walk and go. And so he's given us wholeness. That's what we have to help the perpetrators. But if we don't have the victims, they continue to perpetuate their victimization. Empowerment is helping them to be set free, because guess what? Victims suffer the same kind of thing. A lot of theirs are going to be depression, especially. You're going to see a lot of major depression there. You're going to see PTSD. You're going to see a lot of those kind of things happen. But during those calm times, I met somebody, and they smiled, and they made me feel good. They told me they loved me, and they didn't hit me and everything. And they didn't hit, but all they was controlling. They opened the door, the other kind of things. And a perpetrator know all these kind of moves because they know what happened the last time, and they know how to get, but they can't hold because they haven't got past the hurt. They haven't got past their emptiness. Until that emptiness filled, then they're going to continue to do with what they know. So our part of empowerment is breaking them out of that little cage that they're in.
I wanted to ask you a question.
Yes.
So you're saying that this is unconscious behavior, or some aware that they're doing this and some aren't? They're just repeating a pattern over and over and over?
Personally and spiritually. When Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do, he didn't mean they were brain dead. Right. So they knew the action, but they didn't know the full ramification of what they were doing. So yes, people who do this, they're not sleepwalking or in a blackout, but because they're so familiar with this is all I know.
It's no behavior.
Yeah, and sometimes when the police come, they would say, I didn't hit her. I just pushed her against the wall and I told her to go to hell. What's wrong with that? Yes, sometimes I wish she was dead. And all they're saying is getting themselves more and more in trouble. Because they don't know that there's something wrong. It's kind of like CPS with the children. They say, oh no, I just spanked them. Well, now we got some room, we got grounds to remove them from the house. Because yes, you spanked, you left them bruising. So yeah, they're conscious of what they're doing, but they're conscious thinking, I'm right. How come you would blame me for being wrong and abusing? All I did is this. All I did was slap her one time or two. Because that's what calms her down.
Is that maybe why a lot of the men I've heard try to reverse it and blame it on the woman, say, you made me hit you. I hit you because you made me do it. If you did this right, I wouldn't have hit you.
Exactly.
Is that what they do?
So they're not trying to, they're not conscious of trying to pass it on. They are sincere in their perception of they're the one that's being victimized.
Oh, okay.
And that's where truth will set you free. And that's why sometimes with the in the church and getting with the pastors, what we're going to do and what we are working on doing through the Ministerial Alliance is to help them to realize that there's a difference between marital counseling and domestic violence. That's a whole different ball game.
The church is you are beginning to look at that now.
Yes, we are.
Very good.
Yeah, that's what Pastor Hughes was referring to.
And we'll be able to do something with that, by the way, if you want to combine us in you all call it the secular world, but it is in the secular world. The college will be able to work with you in that, in order to get some of the research that you need in order to support, to get the data for that.
Yes.
We would offer. Can I make one quick comment? It has to do with what you're bringing up, the conscious and the unconscious. That also goes on in the victim. So the victim has also been patterned to behave in a manner, and it has to do with, if you grew up in an environment of domestic violence, you have a high level of tolerance where you don't even know that you should be afraid. The gun is about to go off, but you are so tolerant of violence that you don't know that you should be very afraid. Well, and what happens is then, as the victim, you say one more thing, you trip that little wire, and it goes off on that man. So when he's saying, as a predator, she made me do it, there is something to be said about that dynamic that gets set into motion. And
what we want to look at is they can be provoked.
They can,
no, we don't make folks do things. Now, they can be provoked by the other party. Right. And I know Maureen's going to cover some of what domestic violence is. I know you got a good point you want to make.
No, I was just curious because I had a really good girlfriend. She was killed by a perpetrator, and I always, years ago, and I always wondered why, you know, it's like, almost like when I was a younger woman, 18, 19, 20, there were certain men, and they had this radar thing. It's like they would zero in on certain women, and it was like they knew this woman was needy, or this woman was this and that. And, you know, there were plenty of times I had problems with self-esteem, and I was like, why don't they zero in on me like that? And then it just seems like, you know, like maybe I was giving off vibes like, you know, don't even try it, you know, don't try.